Lane Kiffin is challenging Nick Saban for the throne. We got to talk about it after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You got to help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kin folks? It's RJ Young. I'm not on a step. Now consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, I want to talk about Lane Kiffin going for the throne, going for the crown. But first, as I get into this really fascinating story of Lane Kiffin trying to poach Nick Saban's assistants at Alabama and how it feels like he's trying to build Ole Miss, I'm reminded of one of the, best known scenes from The Wire, which is Stinkum and Weebay getting ready to go and try to knock off Scar. And they get out the car. They trying to go do the dirt. And no, there's Omar. Because Omar's singing a farm in the Dale, still spooks and just brings hair raises, right? But the line is, "Bae, you go at the king. You best not miss." You know what I mean? And that's what it is, right? So Lane Kiffin out here shooting a shot, going at the crown. Now, there's an outstanding column, Aaron Suttles in The Athletic, talking about this. Now, why is Lane Kiffin going after Nick Saban's assistants? Well, on the surface, let's go after the best coach's staff because obviously he knows what he's doing. So rather than do the work of trying to go and figure out who I know, who I trust to build my staff and decide who's going to be really, really good to help me build this thing in Oxford, I'm just going to go and raid the staff of the guy who already did. Now, Nick Saban pays his staff well. They are well compensated, and they're also overseeing Alabama football. So there's not a whole lot to be upset about there. However, according to this column that's fascinating, you got Kiffin going at Scott Cochran, which is a really interesting target, right? One, because Scott Cochran is really renowned among Alabama football fans, strength and conditioning coach over there, and he is well known among recruits, and he is a 40-year-old I'm yelling and screaming and you're going to get after it in my weight room type of dude. You go to Alabama, you're already big, strong. He makes you bigger and stronger, and for the most part, keeps you healthy, right? And what I love most about this is Kiffin did not just decide to try to hire away a strength coach and pay him a little bit more. He said, no, I'm going to give you an on-the-field position, which is also fascinating because those of you familiar with Oklahoma will know that the linebackers coach is Brian Odom, who, yes, played some ball at Oklahoma, but came up through the coaching ranks as a strength coach and then was eventually elevated to linebackers coach at Washington State by Alex Grinch. And then Alex Grinch took him from Missouri before Missouri fell apart, and he ends up on this team that's competing for a college football playoff. And I believe this was the first year that Brian Odom had actually won a conference championship as a coach, which is also really cool. But there's also Kiffin going after Karl Scott at Alabama. He's going after Bo Davis at Alabama. Basically, going after Tosh Lupoi, former Alabama assistant. Not going after Pete Golding, which I think is smart because Golding seems to just want to grow up under Nick Saban, and you can pick a lot of bad places to grow up. That ain't one of them. And perhaps take over his own program at a Power 5 level when the time comes, if Alabama gets back to good, which I think they will. And you still got Steve Sarkisian out there as an offense coordinator. But the blood is bad between Saban and Kiffin because Bama fans will know. Yes, the rest of us read the press release that said that Lane Kiffin was just going to go down to Florida Atlantic after the Washington State win and, he's going to take over the Owls program. He's not going to have anything to do with Alabama in the national championship game. And the rest of us are going, that's odd. Why wouldn't you want to coach the national championship game? I mean, as a matter of decorum, as a matter of policy, guys who take head coaching jobs usually coach through the rest of the season, especially if that team is playing for a championship. See Jeff Hafley at Ohio State, who's going to become the Boston College head coach after the season's over at Ohio State. But turns out he's fired. Now, Kiffin, as many of us might, held a grudge about this and even went on the record with Adam Kilgore in the Washington Post in 2017 to say if I was calling plays, they would have won the national championship. Now, we'll never know, but the reports out of Bama were Lane Kiffin was calling plays in that Washington game that they didn't practice during the week, which is a huge no-no. It's a massive no-no. You want to know the game plan. You want to know what's on the play card. And if you're calling something that we haven't actually practiced, that ain't going to make the rest of us look good or feel good. We got to go out there and execute this. So Saban, rather than risk that national championship game, decided, you know what? You're probably splitting your time too much here. So much so that you forgot we didn't even practice these plays and you called them anyway while you're trying to put together your thing down there at Florida Atlantic. So I'm just going to send you on down to Boca Raton, which I think a lot of people would be on board for. But Kiffin was not. And it seems that he was aching to get into the SEC West. Like his kid in a viral video was fired up to be going back to the SEC. And Kiffin will note he lost twice to Ole Miss while he was offensive coordinator at Alabama. I think Ole Miss wants this so badly too that they're going to give him all the money and opportunities to go get the staff he needs. What I'm fascinated by, not with necessarily Jeff Lebby, who is the new offensive coordinator at Ole Miss, was over at Central Florida. We'll see if Mac McIntyre continues to stay on as defensive coordinator. A couple other guys that might actually keep their job there. I'm interested in development here because I'm looking at this Ole Miss 2020 class, and it's ranked 45th in the country and 11th in a 14-team league that is the SEC. So you got some work to do. I mean, there's no quarterback in this class either that I could see. And John Rice Plumlee is a talent. I mean, he is ridiculously fast. He might be the fastest quarterback in all of college football and one of the fastest players in all of college football. All you have to do is go watch that Ole Miss LSU film where he torched LSU's defense for 212 yards on the ground. But I'll add here, he has rushed for more yardage than he's passed for. It's a 1,000-yard rusher, 910 yards passing. And we'd also add to this, he had 154 rush attempts and 150 pass attempts. And he was pulled in the Egg Bowl for Matt Corral. So I think that if Kiffin can develop Plumlee into a capable passer, we're talking about a really good football team all of a sudden, to say nothing to Jerry and Ely back there, who turned down an opportunity to play professional baseball, not unlike Plumlee, to play football and baseball at Ole Miss. There are tools here, people. They could be really good. I don't know if they're going to be really good next year or even the year after that. But what we've learned about Lane Kiffin is that he has survived over and over and over again. Run out on a rail. Need a police escort to get out of Tennessee. Same thing at Oakland. Fired at the airport by USC's athletic director then, Pat Hayden. Goes to the Nick Saban Rehabilitation Clinic thinking that he's on the right path. He's getting yelled out, chewed out by Nick Saban left and right. But hey, I'm an offensive coordinator here. We're competing for championships. And then before the game you dream about coaching in, he's fired because, well, either he's taking too much time to be the Florida Atlantic head coach while trying to be the offensive coordinator at Alabama, or it just wasn't working. Either way, Nick Saban is loyal to winning. We saw Nick Saban give Jalen Hurts the starting job as a true freshman over Blake Barnett. We saw him do it again with Tua Tagovailoa when he took him off the bench in the second half to replace Jalen Hurts. Just a couple of years later, that man does not care about your feelings. He cares about winning, and I think that if Lane Kiffin is going about this the way that it looks like he is, he also cares about winning. And more than that, he cares about beating Nick Saban. I would put this in the same category as Josh Daniels when he left Bill Belichick the first time to take the head coaching job at Denver and how much it meant for him, fist pumping on the sideline, to beat Bill Belichick in a regular season game. But did Josh Daniels win a Super Bowl as a head coach? No. Will Lane Kiffin win a national championship as the head coach at Ole Miss? Remains to be seen. But I am here for going at the king. All right, that's it for me. Deuces.